welcome everyone to today's podcast. I'm joined by Vipen Jain from Fitspire, and so thank you, Vipen, for joining us. Can you tell a little bit about yourself? What are you doing at Fitspire? Why are you building Fitspire? Let's start by taking stock.
Sure. First of all, thank you, Harsh, for inviting me for your session. So, as you know, that we started Fitspire journey almost a year back. So
Hmm.
I'm basically from a BFSI sector. I have spent it
Hmm.
almost 15 to 16 years in
Okay.
banking and insurance sector. Yeah, and I've been traveling. In my last assignment, I was traveling across the globe. So I have almost traveled 40 to 42 countries, doing a lot of seminars there.
Okay.
While traveling, I actually so I'm a good observer in terms of what is happening around me. While traveling, I what I see and what I understand is that the need of health,
Hmm.
the understanding of life, the importance of your own health is what people admire, and this is what people would like to be on.
Hmm.
While traveling, I understood all this, and between me and my other two co-founders, we were already planning from last 3 to 4 years that we should start something of our own, which are also
Okay.
from the similar industry.
Hmm.
Uh, in October 2018, I left my last organization. So I have spent 3 years with Standard Chartered Bank. Then I worked some time with Bajaj Allianz on a
Okay.
different roles. I was heading sales for particular zone, and then I joined Max Group, and I was heading their MV channel. I was national head for MV channel,
Okay.
creating distribution model for them, setting up P&L for them, and then I was leading the corporate strategy, the sales promotion department, and cross sell and all that.
Okay.
Between all this, there was something in my mind that I should do something which should contribute to our society, which should also contribute something to what I wanted to do.
Hmm.
Being a family, being the family background, being all the entrepreneurs in my family, my parents, my grandfather, and all my uncle, brother, and everyone. This is something which I always wanted to do.
Okay.
What to do, how to do was what to do, how to do was something which I was trying finding out within myself. And uh, one day when I was in Japan, there was a tsunami hit there, and I was inside the hotel.
Okay.
And it was like almost life and death. What I have
Yeah.
seen that day.
Yeah.
That day, I decided that I should leave this now and focus something which I wanted to do
Hmm.
because it was so uncertain of whether the life will be there next hour or
Correct.
not. So I said
Correct.
if you really want to do something, you should do now. So
Yeah.
that's how the idea came in our mind, and then I discussed with my other co-founders, and you know then we decided to start something on health wellness. uh, it was also we were also following closely what our Prime Minister Mr. Modi always wanted our generation to be.
Hmm.
Made in India, Atmanirbhar, Make in India, and all other things, women empowerment and all. So my other two co-founders are women. Both of them are women. One is my wife, and another is our family friend.
Okay.
So we all three joined together, and we started our journey. So for 6 months, we were doing research and development on what health products should come into in the market. So we did a project within ourselves, and within 6 months, we found that veganism is something which will contribute more towards society. uh, People are moving from non-vegetarian to vegetarian, and from vegetarian to veganism now. The reason
Yeah.
being vegan is that it does not have any side effects, so that's the best part.
Hmm.
uh, uh, yeah, so we tried focusing on that. That was one. Second, with my own corporate experience, I have personally experienced this, that the unhealthy lifestyle, the corporate culture which we have, the unwanted working hours, long stretchable working hours,
Correct.
creating a lot of issues in terms of health hazardness, illness like diabetes, obesity, women's not getting pregnant, fertile issue, I would say that. And there has been so many things. So both the
Correct.
theme together, one is the current lifestyle plus the veganism, both together we thought of starting something called vegan and vegetarian health wellness brand.
Mm-hmm.
So we form a team, and I didn't hire anybody from the industry. I wanted to try this off my own, and we had a team of interns initially, and with interns, we three all together started the journey of Fitspire in July 2019.
Okay.
September 1, 1st September 2019 was when we launched our first product. Then November 19 we launched our another three products, and by now we have almost 10 products contributing to the entire family need. When I say
Okay.
contributing towards the family need, so we have products starting for a 2-year-old child till a
Mm-hmm.
75-year-old person. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So the goal and the mission which we want is that we should be India's premium vegan and vegetarian health wellness brand, a family health wellness brand, in fact, contributing to all the generation. So we have products in
Okay.
child wellness category, then we have products in personal wellness category, then we have products in health wellness, and then we have products under the sports wellness category. So sports
Mm-hmm.
wellness we largely have proteins, BCAA, and all that stuff. Health wellness, I think we are more focusing towards immunity and the nutritional gap a person would have.
Mm-hmm.
Then personal wellness, and then the kids wellness. So these are the four segments which are catering to entire family. So
Okay.
that's the journey has been for us. Yeah. And in terms of education background, so I'm born and brought up in Delhi. All my
Mm-hmm.
education has been from Delhi. I did MBA from IIM Pune, and then
Okay.
I did a special course from IIM Lucknow. Yeah, so I'm
Okay.
Lucknow alumni.
Awesome, yeah. And thank you for sharing that journey. And I cannot stress this enough, right? As an entrepreneur myself, I also for a long time followed an unhealthy lifestyle. Did not
Yeah,
have a consistent time of going to sleep, waking up, and we often confuse hard work with being busy. And so just because we're busy, we think that we're doing hard work, but that's not necessarily true, right? And so in doing that hard work, we actually sacrifice a lot um, on our health, and of course, it is one of the key important thing for actually being able to even work better, right? So forget if you
yeah,
don't value, let's say for whatever reason, if you don't value a long life or a healthy life, even being healthy actually helps you focus better and work better, right? So that's also another thing. And
absolutely.
for the people, including myself, right? For people who are watching this, tell us the difference. I mean, so I understand non-veg and veg, right? Is there a difference between being a vegetarian and being a vegan? Is there any difference over there?
Yes,
So can you
yes,
tell us a little
yes.
bit more about
So
that?
the difference, yeah, sure. So the major and the only difference between vegan and vegetarian is that vegan does not have any animal byproducts. So
Okay,
for example, milk, yeah, butter, anything which is made from animal byproducts
got it,
comes under vegetarian. Anything which is not
got it,
made of all these things, especially milk, is vegan.
got it. So
So
milk,
so so
butter,
yeah.
cheese,
So
chocolates,
there's
all of this.
herbal. So yes, exactly. So there are herbal supplements, and there are vegetarian, then there are non-vegetarian, and then the vegan segment. So
Okay.
we corely focus on vegan and vegetarian.
Got it. And so thank you for clarifying that, right? So, um, so,
Yeah,
however, even I think in July 2019 when you started, there's typically a cycle, right? So there's always a cycle where if you have funds, then you're able to have a product, and then distribute that product. And so if you have funds, you have a team. If you have a team, then you're able to build a product and distribute it. If you have products, then you have customer, then if you have customer, then you have funds, and then you have funds, then you have a team, and so the cycle kind of goes on. And so in your case, how were you able to break through that cycle, right? So how were you able to what was the key point on that cycle that you were able to kind of break through from? Was it the funds, was it team, what is products, or was it customers? What was it for you?
I think everything plays an important role.
Mhm.
Obviously, when you have an idea, what problem you're solving, is what the business you do.
Mhm.
So for us, the first piece, which was more important, was the team.
Mhm.
What people we are, and who would contribute what to this business. Then secondly would be the products. When you have a business idea in your mind, then obviously you'll decide what product to launch in the market, and then after product, then obviously it is funds to run the business, whether it is your capital expenditure or your income expenditure or anything. So it is team, then it is the products, and then it is your investments. So these three is the core cycle
But the
of
point
our business.
where you broke the cycle was with the team, right? That if you have the team, then you're able to do kind
Yeah,
of everything.
yeah,
Everything kind of falls
yeah,
into place. And here's another
yeah,
question that I had for you, right? So a lot of times, one of the things that I see is that there are people who, so let's say there are two engineers who are computer science engineers or IT engineers, and they are looking to build something in fintech, right? And the typical question that would be asked to them was, you do not belong to the industry. How are you going to be able to build a product that solves a problem in that industry? Now, given that your experience is in BFSI, and so you were not, let's say, a healthcare professional or anything to do with fitness before you started, Fitspire. So how did you mitigate that question? How were you able to answer that question by investors when they'd say, hey, Vipain, great idea and everything, but you're not a fitness professional. You're not a nutritionist. Then how do you know that this product is good for anyone, or why would people or customers listen to you? So how were you able to kind of answer that question? Because that's a lot of times entrepreneurs do not really have an answer. They may have a great product that their customers value, but they do not have an answer to this question. So how were you able to go about it?
yeah. So as I mentioned that I've been fitness enthusiast, same as other both the two co-founders have been fitness enthusiasts.
Mm-hmm.
uh, I've been doing a lot of gym, running, etc. from last 15, 16 years, and I try to maintain that also when I was traveling. My wife is marathon runner, which is the second
Oh, okay.
co-founder. She's marathon runner. Yeah, she's marathon runner. She's national swimmer. So, and the third one is also from the similar industry. That's number one.
Okay.
Number two, uh, while we were serving for life insurance and health insurance industry, we were deeply understanding the need of life and health and life. And
Correct.
then in Max, when I was managing the MBA relationship for Max Group, they were having the similar products, kind of similar products, not exactly, but they were focusing on health wellness, and they were setting up the distribution in Indian market. So
Okay.
that's how the experience came from that category, then our own interest, and then our own experience all together. I
Okay.
understand what you're saying, and you're saying absolutely right. When investors meet and they say that you're not from the industry, how do
Correct.
you solve the problem? So that trust has to come from investor. So I think the
Correct.
trust came with all these answers which I gave it to you, that A,
Yeah.
we have some exposure of the industry, some exposure of what we wanted to do, and third is obviously we ourselves being being the fitness enthusiast.
Got it. And that's a really good way to go about it, right? Where obviously
Yeah,
after more than a decade and a half or close to 2 decades in a different industry, how do you kind of, on paper, are you able to
yeah,
show that, hey, you may be able to do
yeah,
a great job in another industry as well? And so that's a
yeah,
great way
yeah,
to put it, where co-founders have their own individual experiences, may not be professional experiences,
yeah.
but maybe experiences that are valued more than a professional experience, right? And so you
Absolutely.
emulate the experience of the industry, and you're able to kind of show that. And so that's a good way to go about it. So the next thing that I wanted to
Also,
understand,
and also,
sure,
yes,
please go ahead.
yeah, yeah, and also, yes, having the right people at right place is the strategy which we have used. Being new into this business, new into this segment, so we ourselves were trying and see that whether we are the right fit for this business. So answer was yes, we are, because that's the journey which we have seen, and which we have lived.
Gone through. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. And so a great way to put it. So the other thing that I wanted to understand was how did you start your journey of raising this round of fund, right? So you I think raised $220,000 in your pre-seed round, right?
Yes.
And so how did
Yes.
you reach out to your potential investors? What was the strategy going after them? What was the thought
Yeah.
process and framework?
Yeah. Yeah. So the products were the key focus for us, right?
Mhm.
Uh, we did a research, and before we actually launched this company in July, so we did a research for 5-6 months, where we studied and assessed and analyzed what is the need of our. So when I was also traveling, a lot of my colleagues were buying supplements from outside India, and I used to ask, why not
Yeah.
Indian company? Patanjali is there, Dabur is there. Why not from those companies? So they said, the problem of the product being authentic, original, and the output of the product is still a question mark in the industry. Number one, there's a lot of duplicity in terms of getting the right brand and the right product.
Mhm.
You buy a supplement, you eat it, you never know whether it is helpful for you
It's
or
going
not.
to help you or
So
not.
we were
Yeah.
actually yeah, so we were actually working on the authenticity and the genuinity of the product, and hence we went in a lot of certifications, and we studied a lot of guidelines. We chose one of the best factory in India, which can actually work not as a vendor but as a partner with us.
Okay.
We went with our proposal. They liked our proposal. That's how our product journey started. That's one. Second, when we come when when anybody compare, especially our customer compare our product with any international brand. So, for example, our multivitamins compared to one of the US top brand, I will not name the brand, the top US brand would have 36 to 38 nutrients in a man's
Okay.
multivitamin. We have 48 nutrients.
Okay.
So that's how our product was better. Number one, number two, they are selling their single tablet for almost 40-45 rupees. We sell the same tablet for 10 to 15 rupees, fitting into the Indian pocket. So we
Okay.
understand the economics, the demand, and then the supply, and then the spending power of every individual here. So we were
Hmm.
trying and building that trust. Now coming to investors, the investor asked us, why you, why not others? Why
Correct.
should I invest with Fitspire, not with some of the international brand? So our answer was that people who have used our products, so the industry repeat ratio of health wellness product is 42%.
Okay.
Our customer repeat ratio is 93%. So
Oh,
it's
okay.
almost double the difference. Yeah, yeah. And so we
Correct.
have the data to prove all that to our investor, which really impressed them. Number one. Number two, with one of our common friends, I met Mr. Sukhbir Singh, who's the Bollywood versatile singer, who was leading this round. So I met him, and then he lives in Dubai, and he said, "Vipul, let me try your product first." I said, why not? So he used our product for almost 3-4 months,
Mhm.
and he said, the products are really powerful. Your products are really wonderful. So from there, the confidence came in all the investors that
Correct.
the products are good. Yeah, though 70% of the investors today invest in technology, not in the product.
Yeah.
But we were able to succeed and pitch our product
Correct.
because of the product feedback and formulation and everything, and that's how
So I
we
think
were able to crack the box.
So I think there's a pattern that I'm seeing over here, right? So the pattern that I'm seeing is super big problem, right? Health, wellness, or rather the problem being obesity and blood pressure, diabetes, whatever at early stage and so on and so forth.
Yeah,
Or
yeah,
and as a corollary to that, a very very big market, and then a product that you have which is not just unique or different but significantly better than your competitors, offered at a lower cost, and then
yes,
and then a significantly better performance metric, for the investors and their trust, as well, and then the investor trying out the product as well. However, so what I wanted to, and so that's a formula for success, right? There's no question there. So what I still want to understand was how many. So as an example, how many investors did you pitch to before you were able to close around, and how many? So how did you reach out to those investors?
so I since that was my interest, and while we were doing the R&D of our products, and the theme and everything, I was trying and attending a lot of startup events, understanding how people are pitching, what exactly they are pitching, whether it is the product or the technology, what is the behavior of investors, what are they looking for. So I used to talk a lot of investors while I didn't had anything in our hand that time, but I used to speak to a lot of investors, and that's how I was understanding their psychology of investing. Uh, and then my first pitch, I would say, was a horrendous and failure, because when I
Yeah.
pitched, people didn't like it, and it was only a month of our launch.
Correct.
So last September 2019, I attended a very big event where
Yeah.
when the top VCs and angel investors were there, and people were not keen in listening to me because they said we are not keen in investing in any of the product, though they like the beautification of the PPT and
Yeah.
so many things, but they said the product we don't want to. That's how I was trying and contacting a lot of people, and then I met one of my common friend, and he introduced me to Sukhbir and the other people who are invested in this company. They also take almost 3 to 4 months to
Correct.
give me the first check, and since it was FDI, so it took almost 2 months to complete all RBI regulation and
Oh,
everything.
okay.
So yeah, so our process started in February, sorry, not February, but in fact early March 2020, and with COVID coming in and lot other things, our first amount hit in the bank was July 10th. So it took
Okay.
almost 5 months. Yeah.
Okay. So basically, so then what you're saying is that in July 2019, you started the company, and then in about a couple of months you were able to put together a product. After just 1 month of product in the market, you started pitching to investors, and
Yeah.
as with everyone, right? First pitch is always a disaster, and it's something that you don't want to remember. But then once the funding round is raised, then it becomes a fond memory,
No,
right? So
but I think that's the learning. I mean,
yeah, 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 yeah,
that's the
absolutely.
only your first meeting is always with you. I mean, so
Correct.
you learn a lot of things from that. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And it's something that you have to practice, right? So after pitching to a lot of people is when you actually get better at it. And so, so that's a great way to put it. And then so fair to say that it took about 3 to 4 months for from the time that the investor, was inclined towards having a conversation with you about the investment to the time that money hit the bank account, right? Okay,
Yes.
got it.
Yes.
And great, yeah. I mean, during COVID, I mean, a lot of people pulled back on their investment commitments, but you were able to still pull through. That
There
really
were
talks
so I mean
magnitude.
so yeah. Yeah. So there were 5 6 investors who were keen, but I think two backed out because of the COVID. So which is fine. I mean
Correct.
that we were anyways pretend, yeah, we were assuming that they might back out.
Yeah, so it actually, what I was going to say was that it actually speaks a magnitude about the product and the differentiating factor that it has, and the kind of trust that it is able to win from the customers, right? So that's an amazing thing to have. The other thing that I wanted to understand was, let's say, so I think by the time that you were pitching to investors, the product had been in the market for a month, and probably by February, let's say 5 months or at max 6 months, right? So at that stage, how do you value the company? I mean, what's the thought process that went into your mind when you were valuing the company, or in the mind of your investors when they're valuing the company? Because typically at early stage, it's more of an art than a science, and so how were you able to work on that? What was the framework like?
I think it's both art and science, both art in terms of how you're pitching it. Science is what numbers you have in your background. When I say numbers, it is not only the revenues, but it's also the profitability.
Yeah,
It is what are your expansion plans. We as a founder, what we foresee from this business. What is our long term goals and journey. What has been our vision. So all this together would make an investor confident.
correct.
Uh, yeah, so from our first pitching till the fifth or sixth pitching, which was in January, we were pretty confident. So month on month we were getting confident because product was really working good in the
Uh-huh.
market. So we were getting a lot of good feedback from the press. So we were pretty much confident. That's one. Second, as the investors have used the products, we were, again, almost, 70% of what, we were looking for. Then, what investor look is, the what team you have, how much experience you have, what background you have, what is your education background, what is your family and everything. That's the first thing, investor would say, कि कौन बंदा है, किसकी कंपनी में
Correct.
इन्वेस्ट करना है. So that's, yeah. So that's one thing. Second, they would say obviously, whether it is the product or the technology, and then, they will see the market size, and they will also, very important, that, they will see that what is the confidence in founders of taking this business, 4 years, 5 years down the line.
Correct.
So
Correct.
that's more important, where they emphasize more. That's the 50% area, where, all the investor would emphasize more. What is
Yeah.
the confidence level of the founder?
Correct.
So, yeah. So I think it's art and science both. My answer
Both
would be
of
that.
them kind of put together. But was there any
Yeah.
framework that was used in terms of arriving at the valuation? So all of these points, right, in terms of the experience of the team, the confidence that a team has, the internal working of the team, plus the differentiating factor of the product, plus their confidence on the product by trying it out themselves, right? But was there any formula or a framework that was deployed saying that, hey, your revenue is X, or your profit is Y, and so your valuation is Z, or whatever. So was there any kind of framework that you had in mind?
Yeah. So while, we were generating the revenue of almost, 10 to 15 lakh rupees a month, we were assuming that, our valuation would be 10 CR at that point of a time. So that was our assumption that, and when
Correct.
we actually met investors and, we understand what science and logic they are using. So as I said that, they use the three logic. One is, what is the team? Second is that, what revenues you're generating, and third, what is your futuristic plan. And your
Okay.
futuristic plan has to be very detailed in terms of, your P&L, your numbers, your product, your territory, which gender you're targeting, which market you're targeting, which zone you're targeting. So all that, phase by phase, they would like to see and understand, and then, they see to, invest in it.
So would you be comfortable and completely okay if you say no to this answer, right? But would you be comfortable sharing the valuation that you ended up getting?
That's something confidential,
That's
which
okay.
is part of our agreement. Yeah, which is part of
That's
our
okay.
agreement. And
And so
since
so
it's and since it is
and
a FD, yeah,
Correct, correct. And so one thing that you as viewers should learn from this answer is that if you're a private company, you don't need to disclose your valuation, right? So you are not required to disclose it. A lot of people I've seen make the mistake of announcing their valuation in public because they've raised funds, and so you don't do that, because what happens is, let's say if the valuation number is shared as of now, then it kind of becomes a benchmark for the next round, right? And so for the next round, then that is what is benchmarked against. That, hey, you were doing this valuation at that point of time, and so this is the only percentage markup that the next investor will give you. So strongly think about it whether you want to make. I know of a couple of entrepreneurs who made their valuation number public, and then it was super difficult for them to raise their next round of financing as well.
that's again, a formula of, getting more funds for next round.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. The other thing that I wanted to understand was while I know that the founding team and so I think one of the things that investors valued a lot in terms of funding your organization was was the team and the experience that they had, and more importantly the product that was there with the repeat purchase, right? That was essentially the key metric that
Right.
you had. And so those were the reasons why investors chose to invest funds in your company. However, from your point of view, what were some of the things that you looked for in the investors that you chose to raise funds from, right? So you may have spoken to, let's say, 15, 20, 25, 30 different investors. How did you arrive to the final two who invested in your company?
So yes, I think it's both the ways, right? As like investor see, the which organization, which team, which group, which founders, and what is the background, etc. Similarly, we also see and do a lot of working in terms of which fund we are approaching, right? So there are a lot of people who wanted to invest their private money, uh, you know but we said no because we were looking for more professional funds to invest in our organization, because that that creates your valuation.
Correct.
That's one. Second is, we also see that as an investor, what is the contribution of investor in our business? Just investing in money, or he's also contributing to the ideas, and is promoting our brand within his own vicinity. So
Correct.
that's the second thing which we were looking for. So for example, when we met Sukhbir Singh, we were actually looking for, so a lot of Bollywood celebrities were using our product. That's what I told Sukhbir also.
Okay.
And so we were actually, so we were actually looking at he being vegetarian, vegan person, uh, how can he contribute to our business, right?
Yeah.
What are his inputs? So most of the time when we talk to our investor, they keep contributing in terms of this is how you should do this is how this is what you should do, this is what the product is made of ours. So there are a lot of ideas which come, which actually help us. Being a small team, we can't do everything every time.
Yeah.
And we look, so we look, so it's not, so they are not only the investor, but this is a small family which we
Correct.
have, and everybody pours into in their own idea, and we
Correct.
value and we value and respect everybody's idea, and we see what is good for the business, and that's how we follow. So we look both the sides, as like investors are looking at us, who we are. We also look what investors are, what is their background, whether they'll be able to contribute to us in terms of our own long journey or not. So
Mhm.
both the ways.
Yeah, absolutely. And so it's important to remember that as a founder, before you are raising your round of fund, so while you are negotiating your valuation and some of the key terms in the term sheet and shareholder agreement, you may be sitting across the table with the investor, right? But once the investment has happened, then all of you are a family. All of you are on one side of the table, and it's you against the world, right? So you've got to offer value, you've got to win, you've got to go out there, and so it's important that you are able to choose investors who actually believe in you and your vision, and are able to actually help you achieve your vision, right? Apart from the funds that they've invested in the organization as well. And so thank you for sharing that. And so before we conclude this conversation, I mean, what is that one piece of key advice that you would give to an entrepreneur who is currently looking to raise an equity round of financing, right? So what's the most important thing that he should focus on or she should focus on while they are raising the round right now?
I think my advice would be that to be more focused on whatever they are doing. They should be more confident on what they are doing, because investors also judge the confidence level the individual would have. If I'm an investor, I would invest with the right people, with the right
Mm-hmm.
approach. People who are more stable in terms of people should have their own zeal to pitch in, right?
Correct.
And that's not the zeal. I mean, I would say. I mean, they should be more confident. So I think every individual who are planning to start something of their own, or they're planning to pitch to the investor, I think they should be very very confident on what they're doing.
Got it.
Investor might ask questions from here and there. They might do a lot of negative talks also, but they actually judge how positive you are for your own business. So I
Correct.
think that positivity should be there in every individual while they are pitching, and that's the only formula to succeed.
Yeah, I would actually add to that. The difficult questions that an investor asks, or the negativity that they are actually bringing on you while you are pitching, is actually essentially a test, right? As to for how long are you able to defend the business?
Absolutely.
How much do you know about the business to be able to stand up to that kind of query and that kind of grilling, right? And so it's important that you're able to stay positive during those conversations and are able to give them data points enough to convince them that they would be elevated if they had a partner like you as an entrepreneur, right? So
Absolutely.
that's an amazing piece of advice, Vipin. With that, we're out of the things that we wanted to talk about. Vipin, if an entrepreneur wanted to reach out to you, how can they reach out to you? What's the best way to reach out to you?
I think the best way is, any would like to reach to me, they can contact me on the LinkedIn.
Okay, awesome.
So my, yeah, Yeah.
So I'm already in touch with Vipin. What I'll be doing is I'll be linking his LinkedIn ID in the wherever you are seeing this. I'll be linking his LinkedIn ID in the description. You can reach out to him and understand if you're working in fitness segment. You and if you're looking to raise funds, VPN has already been through that journey, and he'd be happy to help you out and answer some questions that you may have that are very specific, that we may not have been able to capture, because this is a very generic show that we are on, right? And so thank with that, we'll close this episode of the Funding Show. Thank you, Vipin, for taking the time out today and having this conversation with me.
Thank you. Pleasure is mine, Yash. Thank you. Thank you so much for inviting me on your platform.
Awesome. And best of luck for Fitspire, right? I wish all the luck, that it would. I'm sure that with the kind of metrics that you have, you don't need any luck, but I still wish it. And I'm going to order it, actually, because I'd love to try it out as well. This is supremely interesting, right? Thank you.
Sure. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Bye
Thank you.
bye.